Nation, it's your boy Jerome. I'm back today with a review for Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel episode 11, which is titled Love Stings. So before I actually get into the video, I want to go back and talk a little bit about the Dimensions in Danger episode. I've already done a review for it, so I'm not gonna really go too deep in it. It was just some stuff that I actually completely missed that I want to talk about in the video, so I'm gonna do it now. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that Catherine, when she returned, Tommy had his morpher where he could morph into the Zeo Ranger 1, Zeo Ranger 5, Green Ranger and the White Ranger. Now, what I was confused about, if he can morph into all of his past Rangers, why couldn't Catherine morph into her past Rangers, which was, Turbo Pink, which that's confusing. Tommy didn't morph into Turbo Red, the Red Turbo Ranger. So, I was confused by that. But Catherine could morph into the Pink Turbo Wind Chaser Turbo Power. She can morph into Zeo Ranger 1 Pink. She could even morph into Mighty Morphin Pink. Although Kimberly is the original Mighty Morphin Pink, and I will always stand for Kimberly. Like, I love me some Kimberly and Hart. But the thing with Catherine was, I don't understand why come she didn't come back as the Zeo Ranger 1 Pink. Because when I think of the Pink Turbo Ranger, I actually think of Cassie. When it comes to the Turbo Rangers in general, I think of Ashley, TJ, Carlos, Cassie, and even Justin. So I was kind of confused by that, why she didn't return as the Zeo Ranger 1. Because even with the Zeo Rangers, you think of Tommy, Kat, Tanya, Adam, Rocky, Trey, and Jason. So that was kind of confusing to me. And then also with the Dimensions in Danger, I loved how they tied in that, different Rangers came from different dimensions, such as Coda from Dino Charge, and Gemma from RPM. I really did love that, which we already knew that Gemma came from a different dimension, because with Power Rangers Super Samurai and Power Rangers Super Mega Force with Professor Cog, we knew that much, that there was a different dimension for the RPM Rangers. Now, back to Super Mega Force, because I actually just was watching Forever Red, Once a Ranger, and also the Legendary Battle. Now, when it goes back to Super Mega Force, I didn't like with Super Mega Force the writing, because when it came down to Jake's Green Ranger color, changing from the Black Ranger to the Green Ranger, Gosei said there was a simple explanation for that. Never got that simple explanation. And then the explanation that Gosei gave for how the Rangers got some of the Sentai footage Rangers that were never shown in the US, Gosei saying they were Rangers from different planets that had never been seen on Earth. I'm gonna go now and just be like, what? I'm gonna forget what Gosei's explanation was and just be like, what? With the Super Ninja Steel, they're Rangers from a different dimension. I don't care what Gosei said. The reason why we saw those Rangers is because they're from a different dimension that we've never heard of. So moving forward with that, that's just some of the stuff that I was thinking about. And if anybody if anybody has any thoughts, comments, or anything, just let me know how you feel. All right, so now let's get to the episode. The episode, it opened, and it actually was a filler episode, so it's not gonna be like a lot that I talk about. But the episode opened with Madame Odious. She is on the Warrior Dome, and she only has one of those ninja medallions left, because after the Foxatron was destroyed, that destroyed those. So again, she has none left. And her whole plan is Valentine's Day on Earth, and she's gonna send Venoma down to Earth to shoot the Rangers with love arrows. Hopefully she'll get the Rangers ninja power stars from them. So she gives Venoma the medallion. Venoma puts the medallion on, and she's on her way to Earth. Now on Earth, like I said, it's Valentine's Day. So the Rangers are at school. They're planning for this Valentine's Day dance that they're having. Levi's asking Brody if he has a date. Brody says yeah. And then, Brody and Levi meet up with Haley and Calvin. And, Calvin says who his date is, which is obviously Haley. And, you have Preston. He's at his locker. He's practicing how he wants to ask Sandy to the dance and all that kind of stuff. And Haley overhears him. And then you got Victor and Monty. Victor Monty, I don't dislike Victor Monty, but I'm not a fan of Victor Monty because Victor Monty, I think, is overkill when it comes to Victor Monty, to be honest with you. That's my personal opinion. I just think they're overkill. They're not funny to me, and they play that little goofy music almost similar to Bulk and Skull, but Victor and Monty are no Bulk and Skull in my personal opinion. Like, I love the Bulk and Skull, and then I love the transition with Bulk and Skull. I don't see a transition with Victor or Monty. Like, Victor is going to be stuck on Victor Vincent. So, like I said, Victor and Monty are there. Victor and Monty, well, Monty is dressed up as Cupid, and Victor has Monty wanting to shoot the arrow at Sandy, which I'm like, why don't you just go up to Sandy and ask her on a date? That would be too much like right for Victor. So instead of shooting the arrow and hitting, Sandy, Monty accidentally hits one of their teachers, and she opens the note up, and it's from Victor, obviously. And then they go closer to Sandy, and Victor wants him to try again. And Monty still misses Sandy and hits Victor this time. And Victor pulls out a necklace. He's asking Sandy to the dance, and then he pulls out a necklace, basically bribing Sandy to go to the dance with him. I'm like, if that's what you got to do to get a date, that's sad and pathetic. But Sandy is like, what? Are you trying to bribe me? And she's like, I'd rather go to the dance alone than to go with you. And I'm like, good for you, Sandy. Turn him down. So Victor's over there talking about how she'd rather go to the dance alone. And then, Preston, he was trying to practice what he wanted to say to Sandy, but then he overhears Victor saying that, Sandy would rather go to the dance alone, which that kind of, kills Preston's spirits. And I'm like, aw, poor Preston. And, we move over to Haley and Calvin. They are in the park with Cody. And, Calvin asks Haley, what did she get him for Valentine's Day? Well, she got him a pile of Cody's dog poop. And he goes and puts the dog poop in the trash can, and then Haley goes and sits down with Preston, and she asks Preston if he asked Sandy to the dance and all that kind of stuff, and he was like, no, because I overheard Victor say that she'd rather go to the dance alone. And then Haley was just like, you can't listen to what Victor says, because Victor even told me he was the first man on the moon, which we all know that's not true. So you have Sandy, she's in the park. And then Haley and Preston notice her, and Haley was like, why don't you go over there now and ask her to the dance? And he's like, okay, I will. So he goes over there, he's talking to Sandy, and in the air, hovering over them is Venema. And then Venema shoots her arrow, and it hits Sandy. And then Preston gets Sandy out of there, and then all the Rangers come over. So when Preston leaves, the Rangers are preparing to fight Venema. But Venema shoots Brody with one of her arrows, which makes Brody fall completely in love with Venema. And then, they have to get Brody back because he's just trying to go to Venema, which is not a good thing because it's a monster who's after their power stars. So they're trying to hold Brody back. But, Haley says, you know what? I'm going to take Brody and we're going to go back to the base. So Haley and Brody leave, which leaves Sarah, Calvin, and Levi to fight Venema. So they morph, and then they fight Venema, and they're fighting Venema. Venema's kind of getting the best of them a little bit, and then as she was about to shoot Calvin with one of her arrows, in joins Preston to move Calvin out of the way. So they're still fighting Venema, and then during the fight, Venema does shoot her arrow, and it does hit Levi and Calvin. So now the Rangers have to retreat back to the base. All right, so then in the base, you got Brody. He's making a heart-shaped ninja star for Venema. You got Calvin. He has one of his little trucks, and it has flowers in it for Venema. And then you got Levi, who's making a song for Venema. And then, while they're trying to figure out what to do with the Love-Struck Rangers, Preston gets a text from Sandy saying that she wants to talk to him, all that kind of stuff. And Preston's like, but, we got more pressing issues here. And then Haley's like, go see what she wants. And Sarah's like, yeah, go see what she wants. We'll stay here and we'll figure out what to do with the Romeos. So, Preston leaves. He goes and he meets up with Sandy. So, Sandy asks him to the dance. But then Preston is thinking in his head, oh, man, Venema shot her arrow and it hit Sandy. So Preston is thinking that Sandy is in love with him because of Venema's arrow. So, once he figures that out, he's like, you know what? I really can't go to the dance with you. and he can't really tell her why he can't go to the dance with her because he feels that she got hit by one of Venom's arrows. So, he just comes up with an excuse as to why he can't go to the dance with her. And, she's so, upset about that. She leaves and, she storms by Haley. And then Haley sees her and she's like, I just saw Sandy. And Sandy looked very upset. And Preston's like, yeah, she's upset because she asked me to the dance and I turned her down. And Haley's like, why did you turn her down? And Preston is like, I turned her down because, she got hit by Venom's arrow. So the only reason she asked me to the dance is because of Venom's spell that she's under. And, he realizes then that Sandy left her bag there. So he opens her bag and then he pulls out a book and there was Venom's arrow. So Venom's arrow never hit Sandy. So now Preston's like, oh my God, I just turned her down and she was actually asking me to the dance. Like that was her of her own free will asking me to the dance. So, Haley's like, you got to make it right with her and all that kind of stuff. But they get a call from Mick telling them to come back to the base. So in the base, you got Sarah, Mick, and Redbot. They are playing with some metal, look like it's armor. And, while they're over there distracted, when Sarah hits it, it's hard. So while they're over there distracted, you got Levi, Brody, and Calvin. They are all trying to go find Venema. And they sneak out of the base. And then once they sneak out of the base, in comes Haley and Preston. And they're asking where are the other three at. And then that's when they realize that they have snuck out of the base to go find Venema. All right, so now Preston, Haley, and Sarah, they have to split up to find the guys. But with them splitting up, that exposes them to Venom's arrows. But Mick and Redbot, they have the armor that they were making for the Rangers. So they give it to them to put on. So, you have Brody, Levi, and Calvin. They are in search of their loved one, Venema. So, they're looking for it. They're talking, all three of them are talking about where they think that they might find her. But then, they're driving and the car breaks down. And, they have to get out the car and try to fix it. So then you have Preston. He is in search of those three. But instead of, finding those three, he finds a sticky substance. And he, smells it. And it was honey. So he finally figures it out that he is, close to Venema. And, Venema is up there in the sky and she comes down. Preston morphs and then he and Venema start fighting with each other. And, in the middle of the fight, Venema does hit Preston with her arrow. And we figure out that Preston is under one of her spells. He demorphs. He goes up to Venema. Venema is asking him for his ninja power star. He says, yeah, I'll give it to you, but first I need something. So he reaches and he grabs a love arrow and he tosses her love arrow up and he destroys her love arrow. So on the other side, you got, like I said, the car broke down with Levi, Brody, and Calvin. And then you got Sarah and Haley. They find them. When they find them, the love spell is broken and the guys know nothing about what's, happened up until this point. But then Haley says, Preston is alone with Venema. So we move back over to Preston. Venema says, I thought you were under my love spell. He was like, I fooled you because he had the metal armor on, and that's where the the love arrow, it just hit the metal part of it. It didn't even touch him. So Venom is upset. That was her last arrow. It was her last love arrow, but she also has one last fighting arrow, and she and Preston once again start fighting. Preston calls the Rangers and lets them know where he is. So again, he and Venema are fighting. While they're fighting, Preston does defeat Venema, but back on the Warrior Dome, they gigantify Venema, and Preston's like, oh no. And then after she's gigantified, we got the Blaze Zords. They come in and, they attack Venema, and then Preston calls on his Zord. And actually, when we saw the Blaze Zords, we saw each individual Ranger in their own Zord's cockpit. And I thought that was really cool. I haven't saw an individual cockpit since, when's the last time we actually saw an individual cockpit for the Rangers? Was that Megaforce or Super Megaforce? Might have been Megaforce, because I don't remember if we saw one for Dino Charge. I don't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I was gonna say this last week about the Blaze Zords. This is the first time in a long time that we saw the Rangers, all 6 of them, with their own individual Zords. The last time that it's really been seen was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season 3, when the Rangers got their ninja powers, which technically it was only 5 Zords, but with Tommy they made it 6, where although the Falcon Zord wasn't an actual Zord in the Sentai footage, but for Mighty Morphin's sakes, it was 6 individual Zords. So they formed the Blaze Megazord, and they destroyed Venoma, and that's that. And back at the school, Preston is talking to Haley and basically telling Haley that he shouldn't listen to what Victor said, And, he sees Sandy, and he goes up to Sandy and he tells Sandy that, he overheard Victor saying that she wanted to go to the dance, but then when she came to him and asked him to the dance, it just kind of confused him. But once he found out that she actually wanted to go with him, he had already said no by that point. So now he's asking her to the dance, and she says yes. And then, Victor and Monty come in with gifts for Lori, and they present her with her gifts. And she asks, well, what about my balloons? And as she's asking about the balloons, you see Monty lifting up into the air, and the balloons burst. So no balloons for Lori and no date for Victor. So that was the episode. Like I said, it was a filler episode, so it really just wasn't much there. But, like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next Saturday for another episode of Power Rangers Ninja Steel. Well, Super Ninja Steel, that is.